They say the night hides more than shadows. It hides the truth.
Welcome to Mr. Haunting Whispers, where real crimes, true horrors, and restless spirits speak through the silence. Listen closely, because sometimes the whispers are real.
Fear doesn't always come from the dark corners of the world. Sometimes it comes from the places we can't escape, the ones that live inside us. The mind is a mirror, the body a cage. And when the cracks start to form, sometimes the thing looking back isn't you anymore. Tonight, we open that door. 6 confessions from those who heard the whisper and realized it came from within. This is episode 6, Whispers Beneath the Skin. I don't remember when it started exactly. Maybe a few months ago? Maybe longer? It's strange how something can creep into your life so quietly that by the time you notice it, it's already part of you. At first, I thought it was my own mind, an echo. You know how sometimes you think of a word and then hear it a second later in your head, like your thoughts bouncing back? But this wasn't that. This was something else, because the voice wasn't repeating what I thought. It was finishing it. The first time it happened, I was at the grocery store. I was staring at a shelf of cereal boxes, trying to remember which one my dad used to buy. I whispered to myself, it was the blue box, right? And then, clear as if someone leaned over my shoulder, a voice said, no, the red one. I froze, because it was right. It wasn't my dad's voice. It wasn't mine either. It was familiar. Like a thought that had always been there, just finally loud enough to hear. Over the next few days, it kept happening. Small things at first. I'd think, I need to charge my phone, and it would say, you already did. I'd wonder what time it was, and it would answer, 3:17. Always correct. Always calm. It didn't sound menacing. It just sounded like me, only clearer. I tried telling a friend about it once. He laughed, said it sounded like stress, like I'd been overworking. Maybe he was right. I'd been alone a lot lately. Living alone does things to your sense of sound. The silence gets heavy. But the more I tried to ignore it, the more the voice filled the silence for me. At some point, I stopped being afraid. It started helping me. It reminded me of things, to take my keys, to lock the door, to double-check the stove. I started trusting it. It felt good in a way, like having someone watching out for me. But then it began to ask things, little things, like, why don't you stay in tonight? You don't need to call her back. You're better alone. The kind of suggestions that sound like advice until you realize they're building walls around you. I tried to resist, ignored it for days, but it got louder. Not in volume, in presence, like it didn't need sound anymore. Like it knew what I was thinking before I did. One night, I sat on the couch with the TV off and said out loud, who are you? There was silence. Then a slow, steady whisper, as if coming from inside my chest. I'm you, just the part you keep quiet. I stopped sleeping after that, because every time I started to drift off, I'd hear it breathing, in perfect sync with mine. And every time I tried to think of something, I'd feel it there, completing my thoughts for me, faster than I could. Until one night, it said something that made me realize I'd lost control. I was lying in bed, staring at the ceiling, and thinking, I can't live like this anymore. And before I could even finish the thought, it said, softly, lovingly, then don't. I sat up, heart pounding. The voice was calm, patient. You've done enough. You can rest now. I don't know how long I sat there, arguing with something I couldn't see. It kept telling me I'd feel better if I just let go, that there was peace waiting if I stopped fighting it. And part of me, the tired, broken part, wanted to believe it. Then I remembered something. My dad used to tell me when I was a kid, if you ever hear a voice inside that isn't yours, talk back. Make sure it knows who's in control. So I did. I whispered, "You're not me." The silence after that was heavier than anything I've ever felt, like the whole room was holding its breath. And then, for the first time, the voice sounded angry. "You only exist because I let you." Everything went quiet after that. The lights dimmed, and I swear in the reflection of the window, I saw a figure standing exactly where I should have been, smiling back at me. Then, in my own voice, it said, "Now it's my turn to think." I woke up on the floor, morning light pouring through the blinds. Everything normal again, except when I looked at the window, my reflection blinked before I did.
People tell you that surgery changes you, that when you wake up you'll see a new person staring back, someone stronger, maybe even happier. They don't tell you how wrong that can feel. I had facial reconstruction last year. A car accident, head-on, late at night. I don't remember much of it, just glass, sirens, and the sound of my own breathing, wet and shallow. They said I was lucky to survive, but when I saw myself in the hospital mirror for the first time, I didn't feel lucky. My left cheekbone was rebuilt, my nose reshaped, skin stretched and stitched until it looked normal again. Normal was a word that didn't mean much anymore. At first, I couldn't stand looking at mirrors. It wasn't vanity, it was disbelief. Every time I caught my reflection, I'd flinch, as if a stranger were watching me from behind the glass. But they tell you that fades with time, that you'll get used to it. They were wrong. It started 3 months after I got home. I was brushing my teeth one morning, half asleep, when I realized my reflection wasn't following my movements exactly. It was subtle, half a second off, maybe less, but I saw it. When I lifted my arm, the reflection hesitated before mirroring me, almost like it was thinking about it first. I laughed it off, told myself it was just fatigue or medication, but the more I watched, the more it happened. Every day, a new hesitation, a blink that came too late, a smile that lingered after mine faded. One night, I caught it looking somewhere else entirely. I was leaning over the sink, washing my face. When I looked up, my reflection wasn't looking back at me. It was staring over my shoulder, into the dark hallway behind me. I froze, slowly turned. Nothing there. When I looked back, it was normal again, perfectly synced, but I knew what I saw. After that, I started covering the mirrors at night. I'd throw a towel over the bathroom one, flip down the vanity lid, even turn the TV around. Still, I could feel it. That faint static charge when you're being watched. It followed me everywhere. And sometimes, when I was half asleep in bed, I'd hear a faint tapping, like fingernails on glass. The therapist said it was displacement anxiety, that I needed to reconnect with myself, to reclaim ownership of my image. So I tried. Every night, I forced myself to stare into the bathroom mirror for 5 full minutes, to breathe, to smile, to accept that it was me. At first it worked, until it didn't. One night, during my practice, I noticed something strange. The scar on the reflection's cheek, the one just under the eye, wasn't there. Mine still was, clear, pale, and jagged. But in the mirror, the skin was smooth, unbroken. I touched it, felt the raised line under my fingers, and watched as my reflection didn't. It just smiled. After that, it stopped pretending altogether. Sometimes it would move before I did, tilting its head, studying me with this faint, almost pitying expression. Once I whispered, "Who are you?" And it answered, quietly, without sound, just mouthed the words, "You forgot me." I smashed the mirror the next morning, glass everywhere, blood on my hands. But for the first time, the silence felt clean, empty. I thought that was the end of it, until I went for a follow-up scan last week. The nurse handed me a new set of x-rays, said everything looked good, perfect healing, except
In one of the images, right beneath the reconstructed bone, there was something faint, like another face, pressed against the inside of my skull, smiling. You've just listened to Mr. Haunting Whispers TV, where stories breathe in the dark and silence remembers your name. If the voices stayed with you tonight, don't worry, they always do. Some stories don't end, they just wait for someone to listen again. Until the next whisper, keep your lights dim, your mind open, and your doors locked, because in every shadow, there's always something listening.
You've been listening to Mr. Haunting Whispers, where every truth leaves a scar. If the story unsettled you, good. That means you were listening. Subscribe and stay close to the dark, because the next whisper might be for you.